My husband's mistress tried to steal my house. Now she's homeless and humiliated. I don't even know where to start with this mess, but if you like stories of cheaters getting what they deserve, buckle up. My 38F husband, Adam, 42M, thought he could cheat on me, let his side piece move into my house, and somehow walk away unscathed. Spoiler alert, he was very, very wrong. A little background. I was married to Adam for 12 years. We built a life together, bought a beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood, and had what I thought was a stable, loving relationship. I should have known better. Turns out, Adam was screwing around with a younger woman, Jessica, 29F, behind my back for years. And when I say years, I mean she was apparently the love of his life, while I was the idiot paying half the mortgage. How did I find out? The worst way possible. One random Thursday, I got home from work early because my boss let us out after a major project wrapped up. I walked into my house, to find Jessica wearing my silk robe, sitting on my couch, drinking wine from my glass. She looked up at me like I was the one intruding. "Oh," she said, completely unfazed. "You're home early." Not, "Who are you?" or "Why are you in my house?" Nope. She was completely comfortable, as if she belonged there. My stomach dropped and everything clicked into place. I was too stunned to speak at first, but then she rolled her eyes and sighed. "Adam said you'd be working late." "Adam said what now?" I was still trying to process what the hell was happening when the front door swung open and in walked my loving husband, holding a grocery bag like it was just another normal evening. The moment he saw me, he froze. Jessica, still completely unbothered, just smiled and said, "Hey babe, she's home early." Babe. I've never seen the blood drain from someone's face so fast. Adam stammered, "Honey, I can explain." Oh, I bet he could. Jessica, the absolute audacity of this woman, got up and actually kissed Adam on the cheek before turning to me with a fake sympathetic look. "You should probably sit down for this." Sit down? Oh, she had the wrong one. I didn't sit. Instead, I took a deep breath, grabbed the closest heavy object, a decorative glass bowl, and threw it. Not at them, unfortunately, but straight into the wall, shattering into a million pieces. It wasn't a planned reaction, just pure, unfiltered rage. Jessica shrieked and clutched her chest like I had thrown it at her. Adam flinched, but still had the nerve to hold his hands up like I was the unreasonable one here. "Honey, please, let's be rational about this." "Rational? Rational? Oh, you want to be rational now?" I said, my voice shaking. "How about this? Get out of my house, both of you." Jessica laughed. She crossed her arms and said, "Actually, Adam and I have been talking, and since we're in love, we think it makes more sense for you to leave." I had to physically stop myself from lunging at her. Adam, still looking like a guilty rat, mumbled, "We were going to tell you we're moving forward with a separation." My hands were shaking at this point. "A separation? Adam, you're literally standing in my house with your mistress. There is no separation. This is called a divorce, and it starts right now." Jessica, who I am now convinced is either completely delusional or just stupid, smirked and said, "Great! Then you can move out and let Adam and me start fresh." Oh no. Now, here's the part where Jessica made a very critical mistake. She assumed that because she had Adam wrapped around her little finger, she had some sort of legal claim over my house. You see, Jessica thought that just because Adam lived here and paid half the mortgage, that somehow made it his house. What she didn't know? My name was the only one on the deed. I bought this house before I married Adam. He had never been on the paperwork. We refinanced a few years ago, and he contributed to payments, sure, but legally? The house was mine. And that, my friends, is where the revenge begins. I played it cool for the rest of the conversation. I let them think I was broken, defeated. Jessica was practically giddy at the idea of moving in and kicking me out. She and Adam were so sure they had won. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I just said, "Okay," and walked upstairs. Why? Because I had a plan. First thing I did was call my lawyer. The second thing I did, I changed the locks the next morning while Adam was at work. Jessica had no idea what was coming. So, where did we leave off? Oh, right. My darling husband and his mistress thought they could move me out of my own house while they played house together. Too bad for them, I wasn't going down without a fight. The morning after the whole "we're in love, you should move out" fiasco, I woke up with one goal in mind: take back control. First thing I did? Called a locksmith. By noon, every lock in my house was changed: front door, back door, garage, even the mailbox, everything. Then I called my lawyer, explained the situation, and asked how quickly we could get the divorce papers served. Turns out, very quickly. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about Adam's stuff? Oh, don't worry. I wasn't about to toss his things on the front lawn like some dramatic reality TV moment, even though I really wanted to. Instead, I had everything neatly packed up and stored in the garage. I wasn't about to let him use any excuse to stay inside that house a second longer than necessary. By the time Adam got home from work, I was sitting in the living room sipping wine, waiting for the fireworks to start. Sure enough, a few minutes later, I heard a thunk at the front door, then another, then furious pounding. Oh, this was going to be fun. I took my time walking to the door, and when I opened it, there was Adam, red faced, sweating, and looking absolutely livid. What the hell is this? He barked, rattling the new doorknob like a toddler throwing a tantrum. I gave him my sweetest smile. Oh, did you forget your key? That's too bad. The locks were changed this morning. His jaw dropped. You. You can't just do that. I tilted my head, pretending to think. Hmm. Actually, I can, because in case you forgot, my name is the only one on the deed. Jessica, who had apparently been waiting in the car, stomped up to the porch, arms crossed like an entitled brat. This is ridiculous, she scoffed. Adam lives here. You can't just kick him out. Oh, sweetheart, I cooed. Legally, I absolutely can. Jessica sputtered like an overheated car. Well, where is he supposed to stay? I gestured toward the garage. All of his stuff is packed up nice and neat. Feel free to take it and go. Adam's hands curled into fists. You are being completely unreasonable. I let out a fake gasp. Oh my gosh, am I? Kind of like how you were unreasonable when you cheated on me for years and then tried to make me move out of my own house? Jessica, still clinging to the fantasy that she had any control in this situation, flipped her hair and sneered. Whatever. You're just bitter because Adam chose me. I laughed. Oh, honey, I said, if you really think you won something, I almost feel bad for you. She opened her mouth to argue, but Adam, realizing that he wasn't going to win this battle, grabbed her arm and started dragging her toward the car. Let's just go, he muttered. As he loaded his things into the trunk, I leaned against the doorframe and called out, Oh, Adam! He turned, face still burning with rage. You should check your email, I said sweetly. You've been served. It took him a second to process what I meant. Then his phone buzzed in his pocket, and I saw his face go pale. Divorce papers, official, no room for negotiation. Jessica, not getting the memo, smirked at me. Good. Now we can finally start our life together without you in the way. Oh, poor stupid Jessica. I let out a little chuckle and said, Sure, babe, enjoy your new man. Because what she didn't know, I had already gone scorched earth. See, while Adam and Jessica were busy playing house, I was busy calling our bank. Remember how I mentioned Adam was paying half the mortgage? Well, that was through our joint account, which I promptly emptied and moved into my own private account the second I filed for divorce. Oh, but it gets better. Jessica, ever the gold digger, wasn't with Adam because of his personality. She was with him because she thought he had money. What she didn't realize was that Adam's income was tied up in our joint finances, which were now completely frozen until the divorce was finalized. He had no access to our savings, no access to our credit cards, no access to anything. Jessica wasn't moving into some cushy life with a wealthy, successful man. She was moving in with a broke, jobless, soon-to-be divorced disaster. The realization hit them as they drove away because later that night, I got the angriest voicemail from Jessica, screaming about how I ruined Adam's life and destroyed their future. Oh, honey, that was just the beginning, because next, it was time to deal with the eviction. I really thought that after getting kicked out, Adam and Jessica would finally get the message and disappear, that maybe they'd slink off to whatever cheap apartment they could afford now that Adam had no money and Jessica had no sugar daddy to mooch off. But I underestimated how absolutely delusional this woman was. A few nights after the whole "you're locked out, now deal with it" incident, I was sitting in my living room, watching TV with a glass of wine, when I heard a noise. At first, I thought it was nothing, maybe just the wind or a raccoon messing around outside. But then I heard it again. A click, click, click at the back door. I muted the TV and sat up, listening carefully. There it was again. Someone was trying to open the door. My heart was racing, but I wasn't about to panic. I grabbed my phone, opened up the security camera app, and sure enough, there she was. Jessica, standing on my back porch in the middle of the night, messing with my door handle like a damn burglar. I just sat there for a second, completely floored. Did she really think she could just break in and take over? Did she think she could waltz back in like nothing had happened? The sheer audacity was so mind-blowing that for a moment I just watched her on the camera, baffled. Then I called the police. I wasn't about to go out there and confront her because I actually value my safety, but I had every single thing on camera and was about to let the professionals handle it. Within 10 minutes, I saw the familiar flash of red and blue lights in the reflection of my kitchen window, and then I heard the best thing ever: Jessica screaming. She panicked the second she saw the cops pull up, tried to run off like some cartoon villain, but they caught her before she even made it past the driveway. I walked out the front door, taking my time, still holding my wine like I was the main character in a revenge movie. One of the officers looked at me and asked, "Do you know this woman?" I smiled sweetly. "Oh, yes. That's my soon to be ex husband's mistress." Jessica, still trying to weasel her way out of it, wailed, "I just came to get some of Adam's things." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, you were trying to enter the home through the back door. That doesn't exactly scream innocent errand." Jessica turned bright red. Long story short, she got arrested for attempted trespassing. We didn't even have to press charges, just the fact that she had already been reported for trying to take over my house made it easy for them to haul her away. Adam, of course, called me that same night, screaming at me about how I was a vindictive psycho who had set Jessica up. Oh, Adam, sweetie, your mistress tried to break into my house and got caught on camera. There was no setup, just consequences. But Jessica wasn't done yet. I really thought that after being arrested, she would finally back off, that maybe she'd sit in a cell for a few hours and think, maybe I should stop trying to steal another woman's house. Nope. This absolute moron decided to take it one step further. A week later, I got a call from my lawyer, who could barely get the words out because she was laughing so hard. Apparently, Jessica had filed legal paperwork claiming she had a right to live in my house. Yes, you read that correctly. Jessica, the mistress, the side piece, the home-wrecking goblin, tried to legally claim my house. I sat there, stunned, as my lawyer explained it. Jessica was trying to use squatters' rights to argue that because she had established residency in my home with Adam, she was entitled to stay. Ma'am, ma'am, you were never on the lease. You never paid a single bill. You didn't even live there. You were trespassing. I was torn between laughing and screaming, but I didn't even have to do anything because my lawyer was already on it. A few days later, we had a court date. I showed up in my best power outfit, looking cool, collected, and completely unbothered. Jessica, meanwhile, looked smug, like she really thought she was about to pull off the scam of the century. Adam was there too, sitting next to her, looking miserable. The judge went through the paperwork, looking increasingly annoyed. It didn't take long for him to shake his head and say, "I'm sorry, but this case has no legal standing." Jessica's smirk disappeared. The judge continued, "The property deed is solely in my name's name. There is no evidence that you have ever legally resided at this property. In fact, there is documented proof that you attempted to illegally enter the residence." Jessica tried to argue, "But I lived there with Adam." The judge sighed. "No, you visited there. You were never a tenant. You were never on the paperwork, and you do not have a legal claim to this home." And just like that, case dismissed. Jessica stormed out of the courtroom, furious. I just sat there, smiling like the cat who caught the canary. Adam stayed behind for a second, probably too embarrassed to face her. Then he turned to me, looking completely drained. "You really had to do all this?" he muttered. I blinked at him. "Me? Adam, your mistress tried to steal my house, and somehow I'm the problem?" He didn't even have an answer. He just sighed, shook his head, and walked out. That should have been the end of it. Jessica had lost, she was out of my house, she was humiliated, and Adam was stuck cleaning up the mess. But I wasn't quite finished yet. Because next, I was about to hit Adam where it really hurt: his wallet. After the courtroom disaster where Jessica tried and failed spectacularly to steal my house, I thought I was done with the two of them. Jessica was humiliated, Adam looked like a broken man, and they had no place to go except maybe back to her mother's basement. But I wasn't quite done yet. Because as much as I enjoyed watching Jessica crash and burn, I still had unfinished business with Adam. Specifically, his wallet. Divorce is expensive, messy, a complete pain in the ass. But luckily, I had the upper hand in every possible way. For one, I had receipts. Literal receipts. Bank statements, credit card charges, hotel bills, all proof that Adam had been spending our money on his mistress. That alone gave me leverage in court. In our state, infidelity matters in divorce settlements. And Adam? Oh, Adam was very guilty. So I did what any woman scorned would do. I took him for everything he had. The divorce dragged out for months, but it was honestly hilarious watching Adam try to fight back. His lawyer kept arguing that since he had contributed to the mortgage, he should at least get some share of the house. Then my lawyer would pull out the deed that had only my name on it. End of discussion. Adam also wanted half of our savings. Too bad I had already moved the money into my private account before filing. The only money left in our joint account was the pennies I left him for gas. Oh, and speaking of money, remember how I froze our accounts after filing for divorce? Adam had racked up thousands in credit card debt, assuming I would be the one paying for it. Guess what? Since the charges were all his, the court ruled that they were his responsibility. That's right, he cheated, got dumped, and now had to dig himself out of his own financial hell. I ended up walking away with the house, the majority of our savings, and my financial freedom. Adam, meanwhile, was left broke and miserable. But here's where it gets even better. While the divorce was being finalized, I heard whispers that Adam and Jessica were fighting constantly. Apparently, living in a tiny apartment because they couldn't afford anything nicer wasn't quite the fairy tale she had envisioned. Jessica thought she was getting a man who could provide for her. Instead, she got a financially ruined idiot with mountains of debt and no stability. It didn't take long before she left him. How do I know? Because Adam called me. I was at work when I saw his name pop up on my phone. At first, I wasn't even going to answer, but curiosity got the better of me. The second I picked up, he let out this pathetic little sigh. I just, I don't know what happened. Oh my God. Jessica dumped him, and now he was looking for sympathy? I could barely contain my laughter. Adam, you cheated on me, tried to steal my house, and then got played by your own mistress. What exactly do you want me to say? He mumbled something about making a mistake, how he didn't realize what he had until it was gone. Too bad for him, I was thriving. My house was mine again. I had complete peace for the first time in years. I even took a vacation, a solo trip to Greece, which I paid for using the settlement money I won from Adam. So I took a deep breath and said, "Wow, Adam, that sounds really tough. I hope you figure things out." And then I hung up. I never spoke to him again. From what I heard through mutual friends, Adam had to move in with his brother after Jessica left. Apparently, she took the last bit of money he had and ghosted him completely. As for Jessica, well, let's just say her reputation didn't recover. Turns out when you try to steal another woman's house and then get arrested for trespassing, people talk. She lost her job after word got around about the whole ordeal, and the last I heard, she moved out of state to start fresh. Meanwhile, I was happier than ever. The best revenge? Thriving. And that's exactly what I did. Goodbye, Adam. Goodbye, Jessica. Enjoy your karma, because I sure did.